Hey, what's going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again. You know what time it is. Coach D Media. So we're going to close out Gamma USA 2024. We're going to give you some of the highlights, some of the high points, what we did, how we did it, and what made 2024 so successful and what we can look forward to in 2025. So, of course, I can't do it without my road dog, Justin Brown. He's going to go ahead and fill in the gaps that I tend to miss when I be doing my podcast. So he's going to keep me honest because you know me, I like to talk that noise. What's going on, Justin?
What's happening, man? Good to have you here.
Hey, thanks for being here, man. So look, let's really kind of dive in a little bit is what made 2024 so exciting with Gamma USA. We did so many great things that, you know, I'm proud to say I'm happy to have been a part of. We've traveled, we've seen the world. We did great events with Worlds. But let's kind of catch them up. What made 2024 so exciting and so important when it comes to Gamma USA, youth MMA, and amateur MMA? What can you tell us?
I think the most important thing was just growth. We had a phenomenal amount of growth on the youth side as well as adults. As far as athletes traveling, we did for adults, we went to the Pan American Championships down in Argentina, which was phenomenal. That was fun. We placed second overall as a team down there, so that was a great event for our adults.
Yeah.
And then obviously we just came back from Worlds where we placed second again. We will get on top of that podium at some point. We were just one medal off this year, but we're getting really close. And hopefully you'll see us as the number one spot as a team nationally or internationally. As far as youth, we had a phenomenal growth there as well. We got a lot more kids and teams competing than ever before. Mm-hmm. We need to have a lot more so we can bring our tournament series other to new regions and to new states. But we held 8 youth tournaments inside the USA last year in multiple different states. In addition to that, we held an International Open Championship, which was inside the Arnold Sports Festival, a phenomenal event, and it's going to grow. We're going to bring youth nationals in 2025 back inside the Arnold. They loved it, and Arnold actually came ringside and watched several bouts. It was fun to have him there. And then we had youth nationals inside Combat Corner, which was fun. Probably our biggest youth nationals to date. It was an awesome, amazing event. We learned a lot from that as well. And then we went and just got back from Youth Worlds again in Indonesia.
So let's kind of break it down for not only the fans, but for really coaches and MMA gyms. What is important for a gym to understand to be able to compete on a national and international level? What are some of the things that has to go on for both youth and amateur? What can you tell them?
It depends what you want out of your program. You know, some gyms are still focused on that goal of the UFC or just that entertainment side of the sport, which we talk about separating the sports side from the entertainment side. The UFC is the entertainment side. Phenomenal money to be made, and that's really the peak of our sport for sure. However, there's a huge pathway developing for international competition the same way as all other Olympic sports. So there is a pathway for that. Get involved in the youth development programs. Host a tournament. If you want to host something at your gym, get a hold of us and let us know. We can host it there. It's a good fundraiser for the gym as well. There's a lot of opportunity there. So let's get out into new markets. We got to check the legalities from the states that you're in. But by and large, most states allow us to operate for youth MMA because the rules are safe and they're developmental. And then as far as the adult side, same way. Get involved with us. Talk to our coaches. Talk to our head coaches. James David Gray is our head coach currently for the adult side. Very smart guy. Has a phenomenal training program. You guys can cross-train up there at Scorpion Fighting Systems as well. We got Duke Rufus, obviously the owner of Rufus Sport. He's on our board of directors. Helps develop our coaches and our entire program. So we've got a new coaches program about to be launched as well for certification levels, and you'll see that coming out in 2025.
Okay. Well, that's new to me. See, I'm learning something new every day, too. So let's break down states, right? So I know if you go to the Gamma page, you see a kind of world map of how many states are what we call MMA states that are very heavily into mixed martial arts. Where are we at and where do we need to be as far as states getting involved? And what's some of the legalities that go into getting youth and amateur into certain states?
Well, what we need to be is in all 50 states.
That's the goal, right?
But again, we still have to work in a partnership with the athletic commissions because some states view us as an unrecognized activity, just the same as karate or jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
That's perfect. It's no problem at all. However, some states want us regulated under the athletic commission. Okay. We have no problem with that as long as it's a fair process and we can do that. I think some other organizations who have tried youth MMA have done it very dangerously. They're doing head strikes. They're doing dangerous techniques. They're getting people hurt. So that's what's closing the door for youth MMA because they're not doing it the way we do it or the way other organizations are doing it safely. But for us specifically, we've seen doors shut quickly in other states where things aren't being done appropriately. So hopefully we can have those conversations and we can get the doors open in all 50 states. And that's what we're doing. We're going from state to state and we're lobbying those commissions. We're talking with state legislators and we're getting those doors opened.
So have we seen improvement because of we've done so many? Well, we only did a couple of youth tournaments, but they've been so successful. Has that kind of opened their eyes that we can do it safe? Or we're still a long way to go?
We always invite the athletic commissions. If you're talking about them specifically, whenever we go into a new market, like we went into Kansas, we went into Ohio, we went into Texas, we went into other states, we always invite the athletic commission. Here's the date of our tournament. We encourage them to come out and watch our events.
Okay.
So we want them to know we're not hiding from regulation. We want the door to be open. We want them to approve what we do. And we want to push more athletes, because the more kids that compete, it's going to help the state in the long run, because that's going to be more athletes when they become adults that then license and compete under the state athletic commission. So if we can grow our platform, it's going to grow their platform, and we help each other.
So let's talk about the sports side of mixed martial arts. We now have a quote unquote system of development from youth all the way up to pro, which is something we haven't had, in a number of years. Can you kind of walk them through what the system is looking like, going from regionals to nationals to world tournaments? What all that look like? What it going to?
Yeah, I can tell you what the dream is.
Okay, there you go. Let's go with
now.
that.
So first of all, the youth development program kind of stands on its own. This is a phenomenal program. We have regional tournaments, we have state tournaments, and we have our national tournament. The national tournament is what makes up our U.S. national team to compete.
Okay.
So anyone that goes to youth nationals and places first or second, they then earn the primary spots on our U.S. national team to compete all around the world for international tournaments, which would be the Pan American Games and the national and the World Championships. Currently, there'll be more opportunities opened up in the future, but those are the two big international tournaments every year. And then for the adults, if we could wave a magic wand, there's a lot of things we would do. We would hold a similar scope and have regional, state tournaments, and nationals. But because of legalities with adults competing, once they turn 18, they're then under the care of the state athletic commission. So they dictate what we can and can't do. And it's extremely hard to hold MMA tournaments in a lot of states in the U.S. So there's not a fair way to do it yet. However, if we can finalize Olympic recognition for amateur MMA, which is in progress right now, it's happening right now. Once that gets finalized, we can then get some exemptions to allow us that'll work easier with the states. It doesn't give us a carte blanche to do whatever we want, but it allows us an effective tool to negotiate more with the states, because they know that we're under the auspices of the U.S. Olympic Committee. We have to have certain protocols in place with medicals and physicals and checks and welfare and insurance, and all that stuff would have to be done for them. So that also satisfies the state commissions, but that's a longer conversation.
Yeah. So when you look at international competition, like I said, I've learned so much in Indonesia. I didn't realize how detailed it has to be to get a U.S. team, prepared to compete internationally. Because, when you look at a nation, it's that whole nation, that one nation of team coming to compete at a world tournament but for the United States, we have everybody coming from different states, and we have to individually, collectively put that together. So what's the difference between an international team like India compared to the United States?
Well, I can tell you that a lot of the other countries are fully funded, right? So these guys get to have a national training center just like their Olympics. So some of the other Olympic committees around the world have already recognized MMA as a developing Olympic sport.
Okay.
So you'll see that some of these teams are fully funded, which means they're travel, they're training, they get together, their uniforms. Ours aren't funded yet. We have to fund ourselves, and our athletes have to fund themselves. So unfortunately, it's not always that we can get the best athletes to represent the USA. It's the ones who can afford to represent the USA. And that's not a dig on the teams that we've had, because we've been really fortunate, and we've got good athletes who come. However, if the system was in place that would allow them to help get some funding in place, we would have definitely a strong team that can compete with the rest of the world. So that's one of the big differences that you see.
So as you can see, fight fans, when you hear us talk about development, that's what goes into the part of the development aspect of it, is being able to build a sponsor system that allow the best to be able to compete. Now, we've done extraordinarily well. Right now, we're ranked number 2 with the youth and amateurs after these Indonesian games. It shows you that we're still bringing high-level athletes to compete, but we're always limited. If you look at Ukraine just in their youth side, out-medaled us with both the youth and the amateurs by how many athletes they can bring, because they're state funded compared to us being individually funded. So you see, your support builds the bigger team as we head towards Olympic recognition, and that's what we're looking for. So Justin, now we've had a successful year in 2024. What are some of the things you're looking for going into 2025?
2025 is going to hit the gate strong. I think one of the mistakes that we had in 2024 was that we had our youth nationals, and there was a long delay. It was a 6-month period between youth nationals when we made the team and we had youth worlds. So what happens in 6 months? kids grow quickly. So kids were way out of weight classes, in weight classes. They got older. They were in different brackets, and it made things really difficult. So we shortened that time frame this year. So you guys saw the announcement. Youth Nationals is going to be inside the Arnold Sports Festival, the Arnold Expo this year for the first time. It's only U.S. citizens and residents, because the winners of that, we're going to make up our U.S. national team. So that's going to be a huge event. We're going to go into cages this year for the kids of all ages. So from 6 to 17, you guys will have cages this year at Youth Nationals. I think we're just going to have 2 because we didn't raise the funding that we needed to raise. Different conversation. But we're going to have 2 cages available to compete inside the Arnold. It's going to be great. Right next to that, we will have 2 or 3 rings set up for Muay Thai and kickboxing. We're partnering with K4 and also Warriors Cup out of New York. They're going to be hosting that. We're going to be regulating and putting our program together with them. So you'll see Youth Nationals right next door in the same building with adult and youth kickboxing and Muay Thai. So that's going to be inside the Arnold Expo. But Youth Worlds and Adult Worlds is right behind that, because in the middle of June, we're going to Sao Paulo, Brazil. So it's a very short turnaround from Worlds 2024 to Worlds 2025. So right in the middle of June 2025, which is good for the kids, I think, because they'll be in summertime. So it'll be a little easier to travel this year instead of December. But we're going to go right into Youth Worlds. The one thing that I'm really excited about for the adults coming up is the launch of our juniors division. It's a U21 category. So before, as you know, the Olympic Committee in all sports, they allow professionals to compete with amateurs, and including MMA. That's not stopped in any way. We can't stop it. The Olympic Committee, the IOC, doesn't stop it in any sports, including boxing. They allow professionals and amateurs to compete. It's a contested topic that we can discuss later. However, whether you agree with it or not, professionals are allowed to compete under amateur rules with amateurs. So anyway, so you have that option. So once our kids turn 18, they were then move up into the adult brackets where they would potentially compete against professionals and high-level amateurs, and we didn't feel that was a fair scenario. We may lose them for a little bit to get experience and come back. So instead, we now created a juniors division, which is under 21, so it's 18, 19, and 20-year-olds with no professional experience, and that's going to be a category allowed at Worlds for 2025. So I think that's going to allow those to have a good development, so they can still compete at a high level internationally, and they have an opportunity to have that protection for at least the 2 or 3 years on the U21 category. So that's going to be new in 2025. I'm excited to see how that goes. So
as you can see, fight fans, where the development is always going. So now there's no gap between youth, young amateurs, and then amateurs. You know what I'm saying? As Justin says, amateurs will compete with high-level pros, and we get it. Some nations don't even have an amateur program. Once you become an MMA fighter, you're automatically going pro. So we get it, But now we're creating a rule set that we kind of the little details that keep everybody pushing forward is the goal. Our goal is MMA development, period, as a sport. And that's what Justin just said. We're covering all the bases so that we definitely can get athletes to be successful when it comes to mixed martial arts. So, Justin, what are some of your stars that you realize that go, okay, these guys are going to be something big? What are some of your fighters that you seen out of Indonesia, like wow, this person could be somebody?
We got a graduating class coming out of the youth development right now. Which I think you touched on one of your topics, but obviously Max Sterry was one of our top kids that ever competed in youth MMA in any program. He won not only ours, but he won every international tournament that he was really part of. And obviously Taylor Hishaw is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal kid, and she's won pretty much everything as well. We need more youth female competitors to make those more competitive. But regardless, she walked through everybody, and she deserves all the accolades, and she's going to have a very good professional career as she turns 18, amateur and pro. You'll see her again. Remember her name as well, Taylor Hishaw. Max Sterry. I mean, you got Adam Haas and several others that are moving out into the older bracket. So keep an eye on these guys, because they're moving into adult competition, which is going to be different, and full head strikes and full adult amateur competition. So the new incoming class, obviously Talon, you already talked to Talon Warden. He's going to be a star coming up. He's 13. He's about to be 14. So he'll be moving into the 14-15 class. Obviously, you got Schofield, and several others that are going to be moving back. I'd love to see Isabel Baker back as well. I know she's got a little break right now, but I'm hoping she comes back as well. She's going to be a star if she continues on the path that she's on. And keep an eye out. We got some phenomenal kids.
Leo's doing good too. So fight fans, we got talent. For like I said, we wouldn't be number 2 in the world if we didn't have talent. Now we just need more talent. We need more people getting on board, more people seeing the benefits of being part of the gamble system. I feel like Dustin just hit on the separation between MMA entertainment and MMA sports is going to be crucial in the years to come, because you need time to develop. Back in the day, amateurs will do 5 matches and then all of a sudden go pro. Now you have a chance to get 15, 20, 30 matches as a youth and an amateur under your belt before you can go pro. So we have room for growth. Look at Max Sturry. He got 80?
I think he's close to 100 at this point.
Wow, 100 matches.
And that's youth MMA. He actually did Muay Thai where he competed against, I think, a professional Muay Thai guy that was like a high-level guy out of Canada. He competed against him in Muay Thai at the Arnold Expo. That was under another organization, but just some phenomenal things. Just what you talked about, just quickly, we'll talk about the amateur and pro debate just for a quick highlight. Yeah. It's a whole podcast episode, but what really is a professional, right? Mm-hmm. So people say it's money. Well, amateurs can make money too. There's prize money in all Olympic sports. You have athletes that make money. You have your travel. There's games they play with, giving you extra money for travel. Yeah. But is it really based on experience? Because we have amateurs that have 40 and 50 fights. So you're telling me, are they not professional level? I have amateurs that can beat many high-level pros as well because of that level of experience. So in theory, your biggest, highest level pros, your best pros should be signed to major organizations. So they're not going to be able to come into the program. Yeah. And we're not putting the low-level amateurs in. So it's the highest level amateurs and your low to mid-level pros are kind of mixing. So the disparity between them is not as high as people are assuming that we're just getting people hurt. And the rule set's fully amateur, right? So there's no elbows, there's no knee to the face, no twisting lower body submission. So it's a safe amateur rule set no matter what your classification is. But based on experience, I have amateurs that can absolutely and have beaten many of the highest level pros at these tournaments.
Agreed. And that's what we saw in Indonesia. We saw a lot of fighters who I thought were okay, this is going to be a good experience, actually come out on top. So let's talk about MMA. Gamma USA and Gamma Worldwide, the Olympic rule set that we're under, what are the pros and cons?
We say Olympic rule set, but let's be mindful that it's not Olympic yet. Our format is Olympic style.
Okay.
Yeah, so we say Olympic style. We've got to be careful with that word because there's no combination currently between Gamma and our rule set and the Olympic side of things. Okay. Currently, but let's just say we are formatted in a way that's going to be an Olympic style format, which is the tournament format. We compete multiple times in a day, over multiple days. Athletes can compete 2 and 3 times a day on the beginning brackets, but generally we try to limit that to 2. And then you move up into the finals and semifinals where you compete once a day. But you're going to compete multiple times within that 1 week period of a tournament, at least the size of the world championship.
Yeah. And that's what I saw. I saw a lot of our fighters who are in stacked brackets, compete multiple times. By the time a tournament was over, they had competed maybe 4 times before going from the beginning into the finals. So that's what I like. People say, hey, in the States, you can hand pick who you want to fight. You go, I'll fight this guy, but I won't fight that guy. Not at a Gamma tournament where you got to see wherever the bracket falls, that's who you compete with, and I like it. But we still have a lot of gaps in our brackets. I know in the females, where some of the brackets that were still hard to fill that you've seen so far.
Females are always the hardest brackets to fill, right? But there are certain weight classes for females that are heavier. Yeah. Your 125s, your 135s, that's where most of your female fighters are going to go. The heavier weights get a little harder to find, but even the lighter weights to 105 are harder to find. Yeah. And then the same thing for the males. That 125 to 185 is premium, right? Yeah. Those brackets are stacked. Yeah. But once you get to heavyweight and even the smaller guys at 125 and lower, 115 and lower, that's hard to match. Yeah. But the heavyweights, those are generally not full brackets, but there's enough to be competitive. So we have athletes in all brackets for adults, and it'll stay that way. But it's gone very well.
So we've had the highest growth in Indonesia. What can you contribute to that growth? We went from roughly 40, 50 nations to about 75 to 78 nations. Yeah. We normally have about 350 athletes. We went to 5+. What do you say contribute to that growth?
Recognition. The more events we do and more successful events, the more higher production level we can offer. That gives you marketability, right? Yeah. So Worlds last year in where we were in Bangkok, Thailand, that was phenomenal. The production level of that was first class. It was awesome, and so the marketing value out of that, we got a lot more push from the Asian market in general. And then obviously moving into Indonesia, they did a first class production, and Pertakami was awesome. They're the local federation there, and they were awesome to deal with. So those guys put on a first class event, and they made sure everyone felt extremely welcome. And the expectations are going to be continued growth for 2025 and 2026.
So let's talk about Brazil. How was Brazil selected? What gets a nation picked for international competition?
Yeah, so there's a selection process, right? A country, they have an open opportunity for countries to bid on it, essentially, to say, hey, here's what we'll put together if we get to host World Championships. So several countries have a bid to host World Championships, and one is selected from the board of directors, and that's how that process works.
Okay. fight fans, let me give you a little fun fact. So me as Coach D, I'm responsible for kind of not so much painting the narrative, but putting out information to help people understand what's the benefits of being with Gamma USA and Gamma Worldwide. We just left India. India is ranked number 6 as Indonesia. What I say?
Said India.
So, Indonesia. Sorry. Indonesia is ranked number 6 when it comes to fan participation when it comes to mixed martial arts. They're ranked like 45 million fans when it comes to mixed martial arts. So I said, okay, where's Brazil ranked? Brazil ranked is number 3, and that's only 5 million difference when it comes to fan base. And I think the United States are like, I think we're like 4, something like that. So we're hitting the right spots for participation and fan support and all that kind of good stuff. Now you got to see recognition. You could be a star overnight. Look at where we're at with Zoe Nowicki. Look what she's done since she started from being in the the World Combat Games to now. She's almost a household name in over a year.
Yeah, well, that's a testament to her work, right?
Yeah,
she puts in the work, and her coach is really he knows a lot of connections as well. But Zoe's a star. She's marketable. She's putting in the work. She's undefeated amateur and pro. She did the World Combat Games, which was an Olympic sponsored event in Saudi Arabia. First time that we did the pancration under Gamma USA as a team, and she did well there as well. But yeah, it was fun. It's really fun to see her growth, and now she's an undefeated professional fighter. Yeah, she still competed at Gamma this year as a pro, but she's only had 1 or 2 pro fights. Yeah. I think she just had her second. So yeah, she's got a bright future in front of her, and you're definitely going to see her grow to the biggest stages in combat sports.
And she's a 2-time world champion. People, she won back-to-back golds in Bangkok and now in Indonesia. So that's a testament, to her skill level. So now let's get into what's important to you for 2025. What do you want, the fans to understand that, now that we're into Olympic recognition, what do you see it? What's important?
Yeah. So let's talk about Olympic recognition first and how we have a form of Olympic recognition under Gamma USA. So Gamma USA, we're recognized as a federation under Gamma International Federation, right? Yeah. So we're the U.S. representatives for Gamma. However, we're also recognized under UWW. UWW is the Olympic Wrestling Federation on the international side. Team USA Wrestling is recognized by UWW. Also, Gamma USA, we're recognized under UWW for the sport of pancration, in which MMA is going to fall under pancration at the Olympic level, and that's where that's going. It was already approved, so you're going to see amateur MMA recognized under UWW. They've already accepted the name. The rule sets are being developed, and it's going to be a full-fledged amateur MMA program under UWW. So we're still representative under Gamma as well as UWW. So we're going to continue on those paths, and that's how we're recognized as a federation currently in the USA.
So even though a lot of fans recognized MMA because of UFC and one championship and so on and so forth, but a lot of people don't understand, what pancration is in the United States. Now overseas, everybody knows what pancration is. So can you explain a little bit about what's the difference between pancration and now MMA under pancration? Yeah. Is there a difference?
It's just
what level?
It's a name level, right? So the recognition as original Olympic and the ancient Olympic Games, there was the sport of pancration. Yeah. Pancration became pancration is what we call it. We know it today, but pancration is essentially was strikes with grappling on the ground fighting allowed as well. And that was the first time it was actually merged, because you had striking arts, you had grappling arts, and then pancration was the merge of those two. Yeah. And that's what modern day MMA is, right? You created the striking arts combined with the grappling. And that's why you see so many fans in Brazil, because the biggest stars in MMA on the founding of the sport of mixed martial arts are what we define as that because of the UFC. They're the ones who really kind of put that into the eyes of all the typical households rather than just mixed martial arts enthusiasts. But that started out of Brazil inside the USA from the Brazilian jiu-jitsu teams, and it's just exploded. So
okay, so let's look at what we consider tournament style of combat. So you look at wrestling tournament style, you look at jiu-jitsu tournament style, kickboxing tournament style.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, okay, so is our overall vision to develop MMA as a tournament style of competition?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. The same as all Olympic sports, right? So we want to have tournament formats. So if you want to be involved in Olympic kickboxing, WACO Team USA is the only way that you can get involved in the Olympic recognition side of kickboxing in the USA. If you want to represent the USA in kickboxing, you have to go to WACO. If you want to represent the USA in Muay Thai, you have to go to USA Muay Thai. Those are the federations that are recognized for the Olympic platform. That doesn't mean you can't compete elsewhere. You can compete as much kickboxing and Muay Thai as you like. Yeah. But if you want on those Olympic platforms, you have to compete under their format in their regulations, compete at their nationals, and try to make the team. Same thing with us. We're developing a similar platform, and we're going to host nationals. We're going to host adult nationals again coming soon. And then the youth side, we already do it.
Okay. So adult nationals, you can, I mean, not national, I guess, so where does the Pan Am Games fall into that?
So the Pan Am Games, so there's a couple different things. So you're talking about the Pan American Championships under GAMA is a GAMA event.
Okay.
Last year it was in Argentina. I'm not sure where it's going this coming year. It hasn't been finalized yet. It's in discussion, and we'll see. I'm excited to see where that goes, although I had a blast in Argentina last year. It was fun. But they will host a GAMA Pan American Championship in 2025. But you talk about the Pan American Games, that's an Olympic program event. So I think that we will get an opportunity under UWW. MMA is going to get an opportunity to be hosted in the Pan American Games, but those discussions are still happening right now.
Okay.
But it's definitely going to happen at some point in the very near future.
Okay, so let's stick with what we got. So the GAMA Pan Am Games,
Pan Am Championships.
Pan Am Championships. Okay, so walk us through what's that. What makes that different from GAMA Worlds?
Yeah, so I'll just correct it. So this is Pan American Championships are continental events.
Okay.
So when you look at the biggest international tournaments in the world, you have the World Championships is the highest, and then you have your Continental Series Championships, which is like your Oceanic Games, your Oceanic Championships, New Zealand, Australia, those continents. You have your European Championships, your Pan American Championships, your Asian Championships.
Gotcha.
Those are the big continental events that lead up to the World Championships.
Gotcha. Okay.
So us being part of the Pan American Championships, we can compete there, but we cannot go take a team to the Asian Championships or European. Those are closed events to just European national federations.
Okay.
So anything that ends in games is generally a sponsored event from the Olympic Committee. So if you hear Pan American Games, some people use it improperly, but technically, if it says the games, it's an Olympic sponsored event. So Pan Am Games is an Olympic event sponsored by the Olympic Committee, the IOC hosted event for. And same thing with the World Combat Games. That was a sponsored event from the Olympic Committee as well.
Okay. So you see why I got Justin on, because I would have ran with it. I go, we doing the games everywhere. I'd be like, So we're making strides. We're making headway. The vision is there. We can see it. It's still a long road to go, but we're making strides. What's exciting for Brazil, for you?
Going to Brazil, that's the mecca of jiu-jitsu, right? At least the modern jiu-jitsu and grappling.
Yeah.
Brazil's what made it famous. Royce Gracie, the Gracie family. In fact, the lineage where I came from with Gibson Saw and the Sauce team, they're based out of Fortaleza, Brazil as well. So I'm excited to go to Brazil. For me, it's just the home of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and what modern-day combat sports really represents. So Asia's got martial arts in general. It came from Asia. That's why you see so many martial arts fans in Indonesia. Look at the Philippines, look at Singapore, Thailand. Those are martial arts capitals. That's tradition. Inside their core culture is part of martial arts.
Yeah.
The USA, it's relatively new. Really got big after the founding of the UFC. Martial arts got substantially larger, and especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because of the efforts of the Brazilian crowd and population who came here and opened schools, made it popularized through the UFC. So I'm excited to go back and see that culture there in Brazil.
You heard it. So like I said, there's fans, there's plenty we got going on. Right. It's just, everybody getting on board, everybody supporting, and go, look, for us to be successful, it has to be a collective effort. You know what I'm saying? A handful of people can't get it all done. So like I said, we're always asking for support. Get on board, hey, sponsorships, donations, everything you can do to support the growth is how we're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? If you look at, all the tournaments like we said before with freaking BJJ, you look at wrestling, look how big their communities are, because everybody sticks together, everybody supports, they can grow. We're looking for the same, right? So once we get it, then we can say, hey, we're there too. So Justin, let's go ahead and wrap this up. What do you want the fans to know about nationals? What do you want them to know?
About youth nationals coming up, get behind us. We want to make this the biggest youth nationals that's ever taken place in the USA. We want to become that marquee event that everybody looks forward to every year, just like the giant wrestling tournaments. We want to be that marquee event. We already made the biggest numbers last year, but we want to make it the most marketable, just a beautiful event that we can have inside cages that everybody marks on their calendar every year and says, that's the event I have to go to every year. That's our goal, and that's where we want to showcase our team success. So Youth Nationals is coming up. It'll be February 28th. March 1st and 2nd. It's a 3-day event inside the Arnold Expo in Columbus, Ohio. Your bracelet there, wristband, also gets you inside the Arnold Expo, so you can go check out everything that's going on. All the sports are going on there, not just us. There's jiu-jitsu. There's so many other sports taking place, the weightlifting and bodybuilding and Expo Center is just packed. They have over 300 buildings full of stuff around Columbus, Ohio. The Arnold takes over the whole city.
Yeah.
And book your rooms early because it's hard to get rooms. So make sure you're there. And we look forward to seeing you in Columbus, Ohio, February 28th.
And remember, it is a qualifier for the Gamma World Championships in Brazil. So you have to qualify. So bring your best A game, compete, and show why you deserve to travel to international competition at Gamma World. So I can say, hey, look, I got you in my camera. Show me what you're going to show me because I want to see it. It is what it is. All right, Justin, send us off, man. I know you did good, but give us one more thing.
2025 Youth Nationals coming up. Juniors, under 21 for the adults, 18 to 20. That's going to change things for us at Gamma USA. Look forward to that. And then we have Gamma Worlds right behind that in June. We'll see you guys in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
All right, it's Coach D doing what I'm doing, calling it like I see it. Till you hear from me again, peace out.